When it comes to a spring refresh, I prefer to take my time with it. While most content creators and influencers love to preach about buying whole new wardrobes and rebranding themselves every year, I tend to take a softer approach in which I elevate my space and my life rather than restart it all over again. I always start by cleaning my space and maintaining that sense of cleanliness throughout the first month. Mainly because out of habit, I tend to give up on cleaning. Somehow, I think I just needed to remind myself that I need to be organized, especially because I have skin asthma. Like, the amount of dust in my room does affect my health. So I am very, very particular about being clean in my room. So it's a good way to start the year by dusting, reorganizing your shelves, and also getting rid of all the old things that you don't use anymore, and also cleaning up your side table. So whether you have a very whimsical one like mine or a more practical one, I think it's really important to take everything off and to dust it just to make sure that you got everything. I also like to keep my home fresh by buying flowers to start the new year. This is like a little treat to myself that I do at least every spring, especially because there's so many beautiful flowers available in the springtime. I also like to arrange them. Sometimes I keep them simple by just putting the lilies straight in a vase and making sure they're all prepped and ready. Other times I love to arrange it with some baby's breath. Letting the light into your room also enhances the ambience, whether it's moonlight, sunlight, or lamplight. I think it really adds to the vibe. Instead of having an overhead lighting, it's really nice to just have that natural light in your room because it invites a sense of warmth and coziness to the environment. A lot of people are exploring analog this year, which is otherwise known as getting a hobby, of which I have many. And this year, I am going to start this leather journal, and I'm going to be keeping it as an everyday little keepsake journal sort of thing, and also a to-do list. It was gifted by the Paper Locket. Thank you so much to the Paper Locket for this lovely little gift. It is such a beautiful journal. These are all of my journals in the past few years, and these are my sketchbooks. So a lot of you guys might notice about me already, but I'm a very private person, which is why it took me 3 years to start really doing videos on this channel. Now I'm a lot more confident. However, the sanctity of my journals is still very much something that is important to me, which is why I rarely ever show how I start a journal. Same goes for my sketchbooks, which is a very private space for me and my thoughts. And I often want to share my designs with you guys. I also want to share a lot of my concepts and ideas. However, a lot of my business plans are in my sketchbook, sometimes on the pages I want to share. So I never got around to sharing it because, why share a business secret, right? But recently, a friend of mine gave me this beautiful Paper Locket journal. It's a beautiful, it's in a gorgeous dark maroon, and it comes with a stone and a little charm. And I really love this gift so much, and I wanted to honor it by merging the two concepts of a journal and a sketchbook together to create a little bit more of an artistic journal of sorts, following my day-to-day, but also being able to be shared with the world because I want to show my story one way or another, and this is the way that I'm going to be doing it. So let's open this and start it together. I'm using it currently as a sketchbook, sort of like an analog Pinterest in which I print out my favorite pictures from Pinterest once every 2 weeks, putting it in there to force myself to focus on different sketching designs. So instead of constantly scrolling Pinterest and being overwhelmed by the many choices of inspiration, I am narrowing it down to certain bits of inspiration a week so that I don't feel like I have to design everything all at once, and it reduces my burnout significantly. And I actually highly recommend it to any artist who feels burnt out from all the inspiration and all the content online. It's such a good way to practice designing or practice your art without feeling that pressure of having to catch up to other artists. I'm also using it as a to-do list. I like to have a daily list of tasks. Some I keep on my laptop, on my phone, but other times I have to focus, so I have it on my leather journal just in case that I need to turn my gadgets off. I can still keep track of my tasks and also add on my little thoughts throughout the day, little quotes, little quips, little sketch ideas in case I need to, which also again helps me reduce my burnout because when I'm always staring at my phone, I find that I have such a hard time focusing on each task. So when I write it down one by one on my leather journal or any to-do list really, it just helps me finish it all in a more efficient manner. Taking myself out on a solo date is very, very important to me because I spent most of my life being single and I intend to keep loving myself even if I already have someone to love me. And I love particularly taking myself out to a Japanese restaurant and just reading while I eat my favorite sushi in Ebitan. Such a nice time to just recollect yourself and to spend time with yourself. As an introvert, it really does add on to the quality of my day. Like recently, before I finished up my internship at Vogue, I visited the Estancia market, which had a lot of flowers and jewelry. I ended up buying these beautiful stargazer lily flowers that are just so beautiful and apparently rare. They were supposed to last 2 weeks, however, they only lasted a week, which I don't blame them. They were already blooming when I bought them, so kind of on me for buying those, but I couldn't resist. Like, they were beautiful. I didn't realize it, but when I was filming that solo date, I didn't know that my lilies were already wilting. And when I came home, I realized they were actually, in fact, translucent. So I guess it was God's timing that I bought those flowers. Apparently, yellow lilies turn translucent when they die. It's actually kind of cool to look at, not gonna lie. But yeah, this one never got to bloom. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's because they're grocery store flowers, but I try not to judge because they're still beautiful. So I ended up arranging them accordingly. I also bought some filler flowers alongside the lilies, which made for a perfect dried flower decor after the lilies died. Okay, but first, the ambient lighting. I love my bedroom. It is so beautiful. And of course, right now I'm wearing this beautiful nightgown. I haven't washed my face yet, but it doesn't matter because I feel beautiful. I'm pretty much ready to be haunted by 3 ghosts. These are called stargazer flowers. I'm not sure if they're roses, but they do look like roses. The lady at the flower stall was so unbelievably sweet, this lady at the flower stall, because she gave me these extra leaves and I just loved it so much. And there are actually 4 blooms on this thing. And she told me to remove this as soon as I put it in water, so we're gonna do that right now. I guess this is like a bonus tip of sorts to take like a workshop. I don't really do workshops. I feel so shy attending other workshops, so I prefer to just Google it and figure it out on my own. But if you are someone who likes to do those kinds of things like pottery or flower arranging, I highly recommend checking it out. And this is the part where I would put that I was like sponsored by Skillshare or something, but I'm not. So yeah. When it comes to flower arranging, I prefer to keep it much simpler. I like to just use the most bare of materials just because it's practical to not buy a lot of flowers, especially flowers that might die. I usually just buy like 1 or 2 stems, and luckily this one came with 4 blooms already. And then buying some flowers that would dry very beautifully that the lady, as I mentioned earlier, the lady recommended to me. And pro tip, I like to cut the flowers diagonally at the stems so that it absorbs more water, and also to put a bit of flower food or sugar. It keeps the flowers alive for much longer. But it really depends on the flower that you buy. So definitely do your research when you want to preserve your flowers. Speaking of preserving flowers, as the lilies died, I was struck with a sort of inspiration to turn it into a fairy dress because I wanted to add a little bit more whimsy in my life. I noticed those petals were falling off already, so I decided to kind of like reuse them and kind of give them a little bit of a second life before they finally withered away by turning it into this beautiful little fairy dress that apparently so many of you guys really loved on TikTok and Instagram. So this is like kind of my mini tutorial. All you have to do is put a base on your mannequin, like just put some masking tape and literally just tape everything or pin it onto the dress form. It really isn't that crazy. I had a lot of people like making comments like, oh, what if it dies? Why don't you pour resin on it? And my answer to that is that it kind of defeats the point of letting it wither away beautifully. And I really hate the concept of having to always preserve something. I think some things are meant to pass away, some things are meant to go, and this is one of them. Adding whimsy to your life really just makes your day so much better. I don't know, it was such a slow afternoon when I did this thing, but it ended up becoming really beautiful. And a lot of people liked it, so I hope it inspires other people to try it too. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I am a lover of food, specifically cooking good food, especially good breakfast. So I taught myself over the course of the last year or so to bake and to mostly bake actually. I've been either cooking eggs in a souffle or learning how to bake. So my recent project this month was learning how to make this gorgeous tea cake, which is filled with Earl Grey and lavender and vanilla extract, which is which turned out incredibly delicious. Everybody who tried it loved the Earl Grey condensada soak, and I was very, very satisfied because I never baked a cake before in my life, and doing this was such a huge leap of faith because I had never done this before. Learning how to bake and to cook also opens up a lot of new avenues, like being able to host parties, which you'll see in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Ever since I quit my job at my previous fashion designer role, I have poured every single bit of money I have had into this business. Alongside my family who has been supporting me, I have been focusing much more on learning new techniques to include into my designs to elevate the quality of my work and to hire a team. So that is slowly happening, and I'm so excited to show you guys what I have in store, which is technically a bridal collection, which is moving kind of slowly, but honestly, that is the reality of owning a business and not having a lot of capital to start with. So while I do have some income from my content and other gigs, it is still not enough to speed up the process at which I am moving. One of the skills that I'm learning this quarter is tambour beading. It's actually quite difficult when you're starting out, but after some time, you kind of get used to it. Like, even if you get stuck, it's like okay to just kind of stand away from the board for a while and come back to it when you're ready. I've found that it's actually quite therapeutic if it weren't for the arm pain that I was getting from making the beading. But I ended up coming up with some fabric samples, which I am quite frankly proud of as a good start. This will go on my major bridal look, and I'm very excited to show you guys the final look. Eventually, give me some time, guys. It really takes more than one person to finish a collection, and unfortunately, at the moment, I am just one person, so it might take a while before that bridal collection is out. Unless someone wants to volunteer or let me pay them to help me. Just putting it out there to the universe. Hopefully, I get some people to help me soon. So I have here the prints that I had done for my very first bride. I wanted to give this to her basically as a thank you gift for trusting me with my services, and I want to make this a practice for every client I have, especially if they're local, like as much as possible. I want to give at least the local brides, a print of their wedding on their first anniversary, and I hope this is like a practice I can carry with me in the future. And just look at them, they're so gorgeous, and that's my design right there. I am so lucky to have her as a first bride because she totally captured what I was going for as a bridal designer, and it was this glamorous look at bridal wear that is ephemeral but also drenched in art. And she herself is an artist, so I don't think I could have gotten any more lucky than I already was. The craft store I go to has a lot of beautiful wrapping paper. Like this one in particular is so shiny, like you can see like the embellishment on this thing is reflecting so beautifully, and I found it so elegant and bridal, so I bought two of it. I plan on maybe wrapping a future order with this soon, but I actually thought I would be getting it like frames, and I realized like maybe they won't like the frame, and I don't want to waste money figuring out if they'll like the frame or not. So I'll just send them the prints and kind of let them figure out the rest, just because I don't want to worry about whether they'll, appreciate the frame itself, especially with, nowadays, like everyone is so particular about what they like. So yeah, we're gonna be wrapping these images up. I learned how to wrap presents for my mom, so there's a trick. You can fold the outside area so that it looks a bit more professional when it comes to closing this area, and use double-sided tape instead of scotch tape to make it look a little bit cleaner. I find that investing both in your techniques and materials as well as your clients really benefits the business all the more. So I highly recommend it to anyone who's starting their own business this year. Of course, no spring refresh is complete without making your 2026 or New Year vision board. This year, I have decided to keep things apparently minimal by printing my photos a little bit too small for my liking, but I'm just gonna roll with it and use the rest of the negative space as a sort of like extra manifestation by writing everything down. So what I like to do is play a little bit of happy music or any music that inspires me in the moment. And as I choose my images, I try to visualize exactly what I want from this year. Whether it is a driver's license, again, or a fruitful business or more income, I like to dream in those moments and to figure out exactly what I want to see from this year. I like to write a lot about my achievements, and I kind of want to leave room for that because I have a lot of dreams and sometimes they come true, and it's really hard to document exactly how they come true. So I'm going to be trying that this time.
It's just my stage name, Elsie Marine, and my dad was a Marine, see? My real name is Elsie Stoltenberg.
Indeed.
And I'm gonna start separating it by, sections of my life. I like to compartmentalize a little bit, but the general idea is I want to have a more consistent and fulfilling offline world for myself, because I already am very online, but I want to focus more on the aura I bring outside of it, and focus on myself, my little worlds, and my business. So I have over here some quotes that I want to have throughout the year and kind of like use as my affirmations. I'm pretty much reheating Amber Scholl's nachos, but she is the one who taught me how to make all of these, manifestation boards, how to manifest my life. And I've been watching her since I was a teenager, and she always says to have one important quote to start your year. And I decided that this year, my quote will be that I was born a star, to remind myself that I was made from stardust. So I am stardust over there. And I kind of wanted to have this overarching visual theme of stars, the moon, and being a princess, which is why I also printed this out. I want to encapsulate a more fantastical, more romantic life. And I think I already am doing that. But again, this is all about consistency, which is why I'm including it on my board. It's very important to me. I also hope to get my own apartment or some privacy. Somehow. I don't know if this is gonna happen this year, but I really hope I can do that, because that has been a huge milestone for me, and I'm like turning 24. And I know in the States it's not something I know in the States a lot of people move out at 18, but in the Philippines we usually stay at home until we're married, so it's not really like a big deal if you don't leave your home. But still, I think it's a personal goal for me to really just get my own place. This is just for myself, because I've never had my own room for the longest time, and I really want that. So yeah, if I can't get my own apartment, then I want to cultivate the privacy I already have and just make it even more beautiful. I don't think I want to pressure myself into moving out right away, with the economy and everything, but a girl can dream. A girl can really dream. It's hard to explain, but I tend to be very prophetic with my vision board, and sometimes the things that happen in the vision board are too accurate to the image that I think I need to start writing it down so that the universe can actually hear what I'm trying to say, because sometimes images can be misinterpreted, and sometimes you get what you want, sometimes you get what the image shows. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting down here exactly what I want, starting with this area. This is the smallest part of my dream board. I want to have more romance in my life and in every aspect. It is incredibly important to set goals for yourself at the start of the year, because without goals, then where would you end up by the end of the year? It's really important to have that direction, and for me, making vision boards helps me ground my ideas and my dreams into something more tangible, and to give myself a sort of peg to follow. I also really like to put photos that inspire me, even if it seems really unrealistic, like 2 million likes or 1.3 million followers. I know that might be a long shot, but it's still really fun to dream. And sometimes those dreams come true, like the 6 million I hit last year on a video, which I didn't even expect. I also like to put photos of myself that people repost of me on Pinterest, just because I want to remind myself that I am in fact iconic. It really is so fun, and I really am so grateful to have this life. I know it's not perfect, but I am definitely making the most out of it. I am definitely trying my best to be that main character that I have always dreamed of becoming, whether it is through acting, through designing, or just simply being absolutely delusional. I am very, very proud of the life I have built for myself so far, but I'm excited to see what else I can do. So yeah, this year I want to be more vulnerable, more upfront, more in your face about my dreams, because I realized I am and should be unafraid to be seen. So this year is the year that I step forward into the spotlight finally, and I show you guys exactly what I can do. The final thing that I do for a month full of spring refreshing is to allow myself a slow and steady start and end to my day. So whether that day was incredibly hectic or just incredibly empty, Snug. So whether that day was full of work or just leisure, I like to really sit back, relax, and look at the sunset or the sunrise as I open or close my day. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but I'm sure you guys get the idea. I like especially to watch old movies like from the 1950s or from the 60s because I don't know, there's just something about watching an old film that brings me a sense of peace, especially maybe because I grew up watching them a lot and I find a lot of joy in the fashion that I see in each film, as well as the music. I love a good musical. I also like to spend my mornings at a local cafe. I've been going to a lot of cafes recently, specifically Oh Hey There and recently Cafe 408, which has an amazing Earl Grey matcha oat latte. I swear, it keeps getting sold out and I keep getting upset because they don't have it. It's really fun to have a third space where you can relax with friends or your partner or even just by yourself and to kind of collect your thoughts and enjoy your morning or your evening as you start your new year. This year is going to be a very, very exciting year for us both, you and me, dear viewer. We are going to be exploring a lot of things like art, whimsy, travel. We are going to be looking back and looking forward at the same time, exploring new things while remembering our past in a good way. I'm very excited to share with you guys my story this year. I hope you guys stay tuned for all the things I have. I'm hoping to do more sewing tutorials. I'm hoping to do some travel archive vlogs from my old footage because I was very lucky. I found old footage of my blog. So let me see if I can put that together for you guys. And I'll see you guys in a future video. Till next time. Bye.